Hey, this is Brandon with Pickleball Effect. Today we're going to take a look at the Ruby by SIG-0. This is the second big release by SIG-0 this year. They're using the same hybrid shape. It's still thermoformed. The only difference is that this is using a Kevlar facing material, whereas the double black diamond has a carbon fiber and their black diamond has a fiberglass face. And then this model is 16 millimeters thick. This is the only thickness they're going to launch with, though I imagine they'll come out with the 14 millimeter down the road. Kevlar is a new material that's starting to get popular. It's pretty trendy right now. I'm still learning about it, but from what I understand, Kevlar kind of sits in between fiberglass and carbon fiber. It's not quite as stiff as carbon fiber. It's a little more flexible. It's a little bit lighter material, but supposedly stronger. And so I don't know all the effects that Kevlar has on the performance of the paddle, so those are obviously things I'll be paying attention to in the play test. Obviously it makes the face red, it looks really good. I like the accents of red on the side and on the grip as well. One other thing worth noting is the grit texture. So when you feel it, it feels very rough, very similar to SIG-0's black diamond texture, whereas their double black diamond is a little smoother to the touch. So it's a very rough texture, so I'm very interested to see how that plays as well. When we're looking at the specs of the paddle, it's very similar to their other hybrid shapes. Has an average weight of 8.2 ounces, which is just a little heavier than the average of 8.1 on the double black diamond. Keep in mind that my model weighed 8.33 ounces, so it was a little bit on the heavier end, and this is the model I used to get my swing weight and twist weight measurements, which came in at 117 and 6.81. So this measurement of 117 on the swing weight is a little bit heavier than their double black diamond and black diamond models, which average around 115. But mine did weigh above the 8.2 average, so I imagine that most of these will come in at around 116 swing weight, but it is still a little bit heavier than their past models. And then this twist weight measurement is fantastic, it's 6.81. I imagine that this will be a very forgiving paddle, just like their others. So there you go, this is the Ruby. If you are interested in it, you can use the code 10effect to get 10% off your purchase. Let's go put this on the court and see how it plays.
After drilling and playing with the paddle for over 2 weeks, here are my thoughts on its performance. The short and sweet is that the Ruby plays similar to the double black diamond 16mm, but with a little more power, bigger spin, and more pop variability. The pop of the paddle was interesting. It felt poppier than the DBD in certain scenarios when the ball was moving faster, like when defending drives or resetting attacks from the midcourt, but it didn't feel poppier than the DBD with things like dinks, drops, and speed ups. Essentially, the paddle just seemed to respond better when more force was applied, either from your swing or from the speed of the ball. The pop isn't drastically different from carbon fiber thermo paddles, but it did give you a little more offensive ability in certain situations while making it trickier to control in others. The paddle also has a different fillet impact compared to carbon fiber thermo paddles. The Ruby has a lighter and more muted feel, while carbon fiber thermo paddles have a denser feel in comparison. My ability to control carbon fiber thermo paddles did not directly translate to controlling the Ruby. The pop variability and somewhat different feel takes a few sessions to get used to. After you adjust to it, its control rating is similar to the DBD, though don't expect to be able to control it immediately if you're coming from a carbon fiber thermo paddle. At the end of the day, I was still able to control the DBD better than the Ruby, partly due to my familiarity with the DBD, but also because it didn't have the same level of pop variability. However, in general, I thought the Ruby still performed well here, albeit not quite as good as the DBD. The Ruby is stable and has a generous sweet spot that is comparable to the DBD. Both the Ruby and the DBD excel here and are more forgiving than the Black Diamond. If I had to give the edge to one, I would give it to the DBD, though it's marginal, and I wouldn't let that impact my decision of picking between the two paddles. The spin on the Ruby is fantastic. My spin tests were averaging just over 2100 RPMs. This ranks among the highest measurements I've recorded and is better than the DBD and similar to the BD. The paddle felt grippy on drives, dinks, and rolls. Some paddles only feel grippy on drives, but the Ruby really grabbed the ball both on fast swings when you're driving the ball and with slower swings used when dinking. It was nice. To finish things, I'll show you how I stack the Ruby compared to SIG-0's other hybrid-shaped paddles. In most cases, it fits in one of the middle two spots. I won't read off the rankings here, but you can pause it and read through it if you'd like. So here's my recommendation. I like the Ruby and think it has some qualities that set it apart from other SIG-0 paddles. However, I didn't feel like it was a huge change from the DBD. If you're currently playing with a DBD or a carbon fiber thermo paddle and you're happy with the power and pop output, then I wouldn't rush to buy the Ruby. But if you're seeking a little more offensive ability over your carbon fiber thermo and don't want to commit to a power paddle, then I'd say go with the Ruby. Additionally, if you're a spin junkie, you'll love the Ruby. The spin level is a highlight of the paddle for me. If you do decide to pick one up, please use my code 10effect for a discount on the paddle and to support my channel. Thank you for watching, and I hope it helps.